Even though Iran doesn't have jurisdiction over the strait, it has long threatened to use force to shut it down.
The Central Command at the US Defense Department says that it has sent 2 Navy destroyers, 2 warships, and that they have passed through the Strait of Hormuz.
2 of the most powerful warships in the United States Navy just crossed into the Strait of Hormuz. The USS Frank E. Peterson Jr. and the USS Michael Murphy, Arleigh Burke-class guided missile destroyers, each one carrying the most advanced Aegis combat system ever installed on a surface vessel, each one capable of tracking hundreds of targets simultaneously across hundreds of miles of ocean, sky, and coastline. Iran's Revolutionary Guard Navy was waiting for them. Radio warnings crackled across the maritime frequencies the moment the American ships entered the strait. Final warning announcements broadcast to every vessel in the area. Tehran declared that any military unit attempting to transit Hormuz would face a response far harsher than anything seen before. The USS Frank E. Peterson Jr. and the USS Michael Murphy kept moving. And in that moment, something shifted permanently in the Strait of Hormuz. Because America did not just send 2 warships into a dangerous waterway. America walked directly into the most dangerous trap Iran had ever laid, and then systematically began destroying it from the inside. This is what American resolve actually looks like when it is put to the test. To understand why this transit matters so profoundly, you need to understand what Iran actually created when it mined the Strait of Hormuz. Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps Navy deployed thousands of mines into the strait using small, fast boats operating under the cover of darkness. Moored contact mines that detonate on physical impact. Magnetic and acoustic triggered mines that respond to the electromagnetic signature and noise profile of large vessels passing overhead. And drifting mines that the Gulf's powerful bottom currents have since carried miles away from their original positions. Iran laid this minefield quickly and irregularly. And in doing so, Iran created a problem it did not fully anticipate. It lost control of what it created. The mines Iran deployed to hold the world's oil supply hostage are no longer where Iran put them. The Gulf's currents have scattered them across the strait in patterns that Iranian commanders cannot accurately map or predict. Moored mines have shifted. Drifting mines have traveled miles from their deployment points. The precise locations of thousands of explosive devices sitting on the floor and suspended in the water column of the world's most critical shipping lane are unknown, not just to the international community. To Iran itself, Iran built a weapon designed to give it leverage over global energy markets. Instead, it built a catastrophe it cannot control. A labyrinth of hidden explosive devices drifting through 21 miles of shallow water that Iran itself can no longer navigate safely. The Gulf of Hormuz is only 21 miles wide at its narrowest point. In those 21 miles, the currents run strong and unpredictable. Bottom topography creates channels where mines drift and settle in patterns impossible to model accurately, even with the most sophisticated hydrographic data available. Iran's commanders understood this when they deployed. What they underestimated was how quickly those currents would scatter their own minefield into a pattern that their own naval units could no longer safely navigate. Iran did not just mine the world's most critical shipping lane. Iran mined its own front yard and then lost the key. And here is the part that changes everything. America sent the answer, not just warships, autonomous underwater vehicles. High-technology unmanned mine-clearing systems capable of operating in exactly the shallow, narrow, current-swept conditions that make the Strait of Hormuz so dangerous for manned vessels. While the Peterson Jr. and the Murphy established the surface presence that told Iran America was not asking permission to be in this waterway, the real work was already beginning beneath the surface. The 2 Arleigh Burke-class destroyers that transited Hormuz on April 11th were not chosen randomly. These are not mine hunters in the traditional sense. They are floating command platforms equipped with sensor networks capable of scanning the surrounding environment with a comprehensiveness that no previous naval technology could match. Their Aegis systems integrate radar coverage, sonar data, electronic intelligence, and satellite feeds into a unified operational picture that gives American commanders complete awareness of everything happening in and around the strait simultaneously. Their mission was larger than simply transiting the waterway. They were there to establish the operational framework for the mine-clearing campaign that follows, to map the threat environment, to demonstrate that American warships could operate in Iran's minefield and survive, and to create the conditions under which the autonomous underwater systems could begin their systematic work. 3 massive supertankers crossed Hormuz in the immediate aftermath of the American destroyer transit, the first commercial vessels to use the strait following the ceasefire process, guided through the same waters that Iran's mines had turned into an economic choke point. Moving under the protective umbrella that American naval presence had established, strait traffic returned to partial operation, not because Iran decided to allow it, because America decided to make it happen. And here is the part that no one is talking about. Iran officially denied the entire transit occurred. Tehran announced to its domestic audience that the American ships had turned back upon receiving the Revolutionary Guard's warning. While 3 supertankers were already moving through the same strait, Iran claimed to have turned America away from. The gap between Iran's narrative and Iran's reality has never been wider, and the world is watching both simultaneously. But the surface transit and the mine-clearing operation are only the first phase of what Washington is preparing. President Trump delivered a message to the world through his personal social media account. In the hours following the failed negotiations in Pakistan, 21 hours of talks, no definitive agreement, and a statement from Vice President J.D. Vance describing Iran's negotiating position as a massive mistake. Trump's message was direct. America will open the Strait of Hormuz, even if America does not use it. Because the principle at stake is not American oil supply. It is American strategic authority over the world's most critical maritime choke point. What Washington is preparing goes by a name that has appeared in press reporting as the outright blockade doctrine. If Iran refuses to fully and safely open the strait it mined and lost control over, the United States Navy has the capability and the stated willingness to establish its own control over every entrance and exit of Hormuz. Not a transit corridor, not a negotiated arrangement. Complete American authority over maritime traffic in the strait, determining which vessels may pass and which may not, on American terms and American timeline. The Abraham Lincoln Carrier Strike Group is already in the region. F-35S and F-A-18 Super Hornets ready to establish an air umbrella over the strait the moment the order is given. Arleigh Burke destroyers and Ticonderoga-class cruisers positioned to build a surface barrier that physically controls the strait's approaches. P-8 Poseidon Maritime Patrol aircraft covering the surrounding airspace and water surface continuously. If Iran continues violating the ceasefire by May, British and French mine-hunting vessels are positioned to join the operation. NATO's standing mine countermeasures groups are available. Italy's Gaeta-class ships. An international coalition that transforms the strait from Iran's leverage point into an international maritime operation conducted under American leadership. This is not a threat waiting to be made. This is a capability already positioned and a doctrine already articulated. Iran is deciding whether to allow this to happen diplomatically or to force America to make it happen militarily. And through all of this, Iran is discovering the full consequences of a strategy that was never as powerful as Tehran believed. Iran's mines are costing Iran as much as they are costing the world. Before the conflict, Iran exported 1.5 million barrels of oil per day. The vast majority of that export capacity flows through the same Strait of Hormuz that Iran's own mines have made impassable. Iran's Revolutionary Guard Navy blocked Iran's primary revenue source with Iran's own weapons. Oil has climbed past $108 per barrel. Insurance premiums on Hormuz-adjacent shipping have multiplied. Ship owners are paying mine risk premiums. Most tankers are still avoiding the strait entirely. Global supply chains are under strain from Europe to Asia. China's factories are slowing. Japan's refineries are drawing down reserves. South Korea's petrochemical sector is searching for alternative sources. Every country that routes its energy imports through Hormuz is feeling the pressure of a strait that Iran mined and then lost the ability to control. But here is the strategic irony that defines Iran's position. Completely. The economics tell the full story. Iran earned approximately $53 billion in net oil export revenue in 2025, roughly 11% of its entire gross domestic product. Nearly all of that revenue flowed through the Strait of Hormuz. Every day the strait stays effectively closed, Iran loses oil income. It cannot recover. Every week that passes accelerates the construction of bypass infrastructure that permanently reduces Iran's leverage. Iran is not just losing current revenue, it is destroying the future value of the only strategic asset it has ever been able to hold over the global economy. The longer Hormuz stays closed, the faster the world finds alternatives. Saudi Arabia's Petroline is running at full capacity. The UAE's Fujairah bypass is operational. Pipeline connections between Gulf states are being expanded at a pace that the crisis is accelerating. Every week that Hormuz remains unreliable, another piece of infrastructure that permanently reduces Iran's leverage comes closer to completion. Iran's trump card is destroying itself. The weapon that was supposed to give Tehran permanent power over global energy markets is teaching the world how to function without needing to pass through Iranian-controlled waters. Here is what this moment means for America. And it is the part that most coverage consistently misses. America did not stumble into the Strait of Hormuz unprepared. America arrived with autonomous underwater systems, surface warships equipped with the most advanced combat technology ever installed on naval vessels, a carrier strike group positioned for immediate escalation if required, and a coalition of allied nations ready to join the operation the moment American leadership called for it. For the first time in decades, America is not asking Iran's permission to operate in international waters. America is not negotiating the terms of access to a waterway that international law has always guaranteed to all nations. America is operating on the principle that freedom of navigation is not Iran's to grant or withhold, and that the United States Navy has both the authority and the capability to enforce that principle regardless of whatever Iran chooses to say over maritime radio frequencies. What often gets overlooked is this. The two destroyers that transited Hormuz on April 11th were not the full measure of American capability in that waterway. They were the visible fraction of a force that includes undersea systems, aerial surveillance networks, intelligence assets, and allied coordination mechanisms that Iran cannot see and cannot counter. Every American taxpayer who funds this naval capability should understand what their investment is producing right now in the most dangerous 21 miles of ocean on Earth. American warships operating in Iranian minefields, American technology clearing those mines systematically, American strategic leadership coordinating an international response that is transforming Iran's greatest leverage point into a demonstration of American maritime authority. Consider what the alternative would have looked like. Without American commitment, without the carrier strike group already positioned in the Persian Gulf, without the autonomous underwater mine-clearing technology that only the United States Navy operates at this scale. Without the diplomatic framework that has positioned allied mine hunters from Britain, France, and Italy ready to join the operation, the strait would still be closed, the global economy would still be bleeding, and Iran would still be sitting at the negotiating table pretending its mines gave it permanent power. American presence changed that calculation completely. Our men and women aboard those destroyers sailed into waters that Iran had mined and declared off-limits to American forces. They kept their course. They completed their mission, and they came home. This is what American naval power looks like when it is deployed with clarity of purpose and confidence of capability. 2 destroyers, hundreds of autonomous underwater vehicles beginning their systematic work, 3 supertankers already moving through the strait, a carrier strike group on standby, an outright blockade doctrine articulated and positioned. Iran mined the Strait of Hormuz, believing that the mines gave it permanent leverage over the global economy. What Iran actually created was the operational justification for the most comprehensive American military operation in the Persian Gulf in decades. The mines Iran laid to trap the world have become the trap Iran cannot escape. Every mine that American technology clears from the strait floor removes another piece of the leverage Iran staked its negotiating position on. Every supertanker that transits safely under American protection demonstrates that Iran's strategy has failed. Every day that the outright blockade doctrine sits on Washington's table without being implemented is a day that Iran chooses not to force America's hand. For 40 years, Iran used the Strait of Hormuz as its most powerful card against the world. For the first time, America walked directly into that trap and began destroying it from the inside permanently. Did Iran just hand America the justification to establish permanent control over the world's most critical waterway? Or does Tehran still have a move that changes this equation before American technology finishes clearing every mine it laid? Drop your answer below. I read every single comment. If you want daily coverage that does not sugarcoat what is actually happening, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. I post every single day, and I am not stopping.